What is up, people? What is up, people? This is Abraham Walker with Ask A Walker, your Northern Virginia real estate agent. We're back at you with another video. Today we have a little treat for you. A viewer asked this question on the channel a couple days ago in our last video that I thought was exceptional. Lorenzo said, does that over asking amount, $36,000 to $50,000, have to be in cash? Is it paid up front to secure the home? Right. And so what is Lorenzo talking about? Well, he's talking about the appraisal gap. And this video is going to kind of explain everything you need to know about the appraisal gap. So just a quick recap. In the month of March so far, the average sales price over asking is $36,000 over asking in Alexandria City, $50,000 over asking in Arlington, $51,000 in Fairfax County, and $29,000 in Prince William County, right? That means that in addition to the list price that you see online, buyers on average, when a property did sell over asking price, paid this much on average. 71% of single family homes, 77% of townhouses, and 48% of condos sold above the average sales price. That's a big deal. Just to let you know that's, I don't know why I just looked around as if I'm not the only person here. Anyway, all right. We're just recapping some more of what we were talking about with Lorenzo. So 66% of homes are selling over the asking price. The highest sales price over the asking price, right? So the highest over the asking price someone paid was $715,000. That's simply insane. So we have a good show for you today. We're just going to talk about the appraisal gap, right? We're going to explain the appraisal gap to you, kind of go over some terms with you. I just like to show you exactly what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about the new age of offers, the way offers are being presented. This is almost like an offer cocktail. Of course, we'll tell you about how to get in touch with us. We'll even go over a couple scenarios for you. And then we'll answer Lorenzo's question about the amount of cash that you have to bring to the table. So if we just go to Lorenzo's question, so Lorenzo really wants to know, okay, great. So you're paying over asking price. You're paying over the asking price, and do you have to bring that cash to the table? Is that something that's already included in your loan? And this is a very common question. A lot of my buyer clients right now are making similar offers over asking price, or sometimes they'll have the appraisal gap in them, and they want to know, like, where's this money going to come from? Right? They want to know, where is this money coming from? And that's an important question to have. So let's talk about the new age of offers, right? So if you've been already in the real estate market before, then you already know there's a list price, right? And then there's an offer price, right? So those are the two concepts that you're already familiar with at this time. But right now, there's three new terms that I want to kind of talk to you about. We've already mentioned one, which is an appraisal gap. An appraisal gap is the amount of money that you'll pay over the appraised value of the property. In my last video or live stream, you want to check that out. I thought it was amazing. It was an epic live stream. In my last video, I just talked about how the appraisal is the lender's methodology to confirming the value of the property, right? So the appraisal is really there to protect the lender, not you. I know a lot of people, a lot of buyers believe that the appraisal is there to protect you, but that's not the case. That's not the case at all. The appraisal is there to protect the lender because most transactions, I read something just the other day that in Northern Virginia, at least, the average down payment for a property is 11%. So that means that lenders have an 89% stake in almost all properties. So they want to make sure that they are purchasing or they are financing the right thing, right? So that's important. So then this appraisal gap actually goes, this says that you're going to pay above and beyond what the home appraises for. Now, in this market right here, where we have several properties selling, if we have more than 60% of all homes selling above the asking price, then that means that we have 60% of the homes that are in a multiple offer situation. So to give yourself a competitive edge, it's very common for people to put $50,000 over asking price, $30,000 over asking price, these insane numbers, right? Whatever these numbers are. But if they have an appraisal contingency in that offer, then it doesn't matter. That price doesn't matter, because if the appraisal comes in lower, right? So like in this diagram here, if the appraisal comes below the offer price, then you're going to, right? If the appraisal comes in between the offer price and the list price, then you're going to have that appraisal contingency to protect your interest. And speaking of which, this appraisal issue is, the appraisal is one of the reasons why VA buyers are having such a challenging time in this market right now, right? The VA has this amendatory clause, this document document is attached to all VA products, and it states that the VA buyer is not going to pay over the over the appraised value. Right now, there are some backwater ways, some gray ways that you can get around that, but there is still that clause to protect the buyer in that situation. So that means that a VA buyer, if they were paired up against a conventional buyer, would be an inferior product at that time, right? And I don't want you to go into the comment section and talk about Abraham, what have the members of our military have done for us. And hey, I'm just telling you the facts, okay? I'm just telling you that this is the way the market perceives the VA buyers at this time. That a mandatory clause is something that becomes a snafu, especially in a situation where you have a property that may not appraise, or where the appraisal figure is going to be what is going to come into play, right? Okay. So we have the appraisal gap that's above the appraised value. And then we have the escalation clauses, right? So escalation clause means that you're going to escalate at some increment above your offer price to a capped number, right? So if you think about these little, let's see. There we go. So these little dashes here, let's think of those as like increments, right? So the increments could be anywhere from $1 to $2,500 to $5,000. I've seen some as high as $20,000, and then it escalates above the offer, the lowest offer on the table, right? So this is one of those things that kind of protects you from paying your absolute maximum, but it also allows you to be competitive if it is a multiple offer situation, right? So let's go over a little scenario here to kind of make this all make sense, right? So let's say we have a property that has a list price of $700,000. It has an appraisal gap of $25,000. And then there's an offer price, right? This is what you offer. The buyer offers $725,000. And then there's a cap, right? This is the maximum that you'll escalate to at $775,000 at $5,000 increments, right? So this is like the scenario that we're going to use to kind of help Lorenzo to understand this concept. Now, I know Lorenzo didn't really mention the escalation clause, but it's something that also goes into this whole process, right? But before we start that, before we get into our example, I just want to let you know that I do these videos so that I can help assist people just like you, right? Just like you in the home buying process, right? These videos, while they are informative, they are designed to give you an idea of how it be, working with us, right? So there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Complete that survey, that online survey, and then we'll schedule a time to meet via Zoom to answer any questions that you may have about the home buying process, right? So that link is in the description. Click that to support the channel. That's the best way to support the channel. All right, so let's break this down, right? So we have the list price, right, of $700,000. This scenario, now just keep in mind, this scenario only comes into play when you're competing against someone else. Okay, your offer price is $725,000. You're going to escalate to $775, and then there is a $5,000 increment, and then you have a $25,000 appraisal gap. So this is kind of a visual of what this offer would look like. There is one thing that's wrong with this visual. I saw it last night when I was putting this together. The appraisal gap really shouldn't be on the screen as a dot, because it's something that is triggered, right? Just like the escalation increments, that's something that's triggered. So it's not necessarily a part of the contract. I mean, it's a part of the contract, but it doesn't become a real thing until it is triggered, right? But let's go through a couple examples here of some scenarios where the appraisal gap will come into play, and then we'll kind of look at the numbers. And then the next slide, the next visual, we'll just talk about what cash you're actually bringing to the table, right? So now that we have this new term, this new way of doing business, how does that affect your bottom line? Okay, so let's say that in this scenario, we have our example, and let's say that the home appraises for $750, right? The home appraises for $750, and you escalate it to $770, right? So that means that what that means is that somebody else put an offer on this property, and their offer was up to, say, 768, 765, or something like that, and then your offer was escalated to 770. Now the home appraised at 750, but then you have a $25,000 appraisal gap. What that means is that now, so let's say that this is, so we have something, let's say that this is 750 right here. So what that means is that now you're going to add $25,000 to that appraised value up to your escalation cap, right? So it doesn't mean that you're going to pay all of the appraisal gap. It's only up to your escalation cap, or even if you took the escalation cap off, right? And let's say that you just had an offer where your offer price was $770, right? Then the appraisal gap is only up to, not to exceed, your offer price. So that means that in this scenario here, you would only pay $20,000, or you'd only use $20,000 of your appraisal gap, right? Okay, so let's do another example here, just to make it all make sense, right? So let's say that it appraises for let's say it appraises for 720, right? Let's say it appraises for 720. We don't have to worry about the escalation, right? We were the only offer on the table, right? So we don't have to worry about the escalation cap, the escalation increments, but we still have this appraisal gap. So now we're at 720, but the offer price is 725. So that means that now we're only going to use $5,000 of our appraisal gap. So think about the appraisal gap like this account, right? This account that you're not going to use everything in the account, but it will show the seller that you are more serious than the competition, right? You're essentially telling the seller that, hey, look, I know that you probably have an offer that's similar to my offer, but I'm willing to bring additional funds above what the appraised value would be, because all of these offers are going to have an appraisal well, let me not say that, because people are removing the appraisal contingency as well with their offer. So in this scenario, we're talking about two competing offers where both of them have an appraisal contingency. If you don't have an appraisal contingency at all, then that offer is going to be superior than anything we're talking about right here, right? I will say that it's a bit risky to take the appraisal contingency out altogether in a rising market, right? Because usually appraisals are a lagging factor, so you may have a larger deficit than you may be accustomed to. But if you have a lot of cash on hand, hey, do what you have to do. Okay, so that was another example. Let's talk about what cash you're going to bring to the table. Okay, let's talk about what cash you're going to bring to the table. First of all, you have your earnest money deposit, right? So this is in a traditional market, you're looking at in a regular market where you're looking at 1%, sometimes 2%. In this market right here, we're seeing anywhere, from 2% to 5%. Some people are even putting down their entire down payment as an earnest money deposit. Some people are also, at least in Northern Virginia, right? So you got to remember that the different states have different clauses or different ways to do business. We're even seeing some people put up some part of their earnest money deposit as non-refundable, right? So that means that the seller is automatically going to get like some portion of the earnest money deposit. Again, this is a competitive situation here, a competitive market. So you're just trying to figure out how to edge out the competition, right? So the next thing is your inspection fees. That's another bit of cash you're going to bring to the table or bring to the transaction. In this market, you're probably not doing a full home inspection unless, if you watched my previous video, I talked about a strategy called the 8-day strategy. If you're finding a property where no one else has placed an offer on it, then of course it's possible for you to do a full home inspection. But in the event that you're not able to do a home inspection, you won't have that fee. Then you have your closing costs, right? So closing costs is going to vary depending on the loan product you're using. So, but you should estimate your closing cost is going to be anywhere from $9,000 if you're purchasing like a condo or something like that, to like $16,000, $16,000 to $20,000, depending on the size of the townhouse or the single family home you're purchasing, and also like what time of the year you're also making that purchase, right? Because taxes are due 2 times a year. Depending on how close you are to that tax collection will also determine like the size of your closing costs. So just know that whenever you see something online about closing costs and they give you a range, you may get frustrated as to why you're not able to get a good answer. Taxes are the main reason for that. All right, so then we have a down payment, right? So your down payment is also going to be another fee or another bit of cash that's going to come to the table. That's also going to vary. If you're using a VA product, then you don't have to have any down payment. If you're using a conventional FHA conventional product, then you're looking at 3.5% all the way up to 20%. Just depends. And then lastly is the appraisal gap, right? So the appraisal gap is additional cash that you're bringing to the table. So in an instance where you're, let's see, in this example here, right? So we have this $5,000. So we have this $5,000 appraisal gap. That's actually going to be something that you bring in addition to all these other fees that you already have to the table. So you're going to bring an extra $5,000. So you just have to keep that. You have to keep that in mind, right? So you have to keep that in mind. So watch your budget. We have a couple clients right now making offers, and when they talk about appraisal gap, the first thing I bring up to them is how much cash do you really have on the table? How much cash do you have access to? Because if you don't have enough cash, then the appraisal gap is going to be super risky for you. Okay. So that's it, right? So I hope Lorenzo is watching this video with his, I hope this answers his question, right? So my question to you is, would you put an appraisal gap in in your deal, right? Would you, when you're purchasing a property in Northern Virginia, are you going to use an appraisal gap? Is that something are you opposed to the appraisal gap? Some people are opposed, like they just can't understand doing something like an appraisal gap, and they also can't understand doing a free rent back, right? Where you have no charge to the seller for rent back. They just really feel like it's just a principle. It's just a principle. So yeah. So would you do it? Let me get to the questions here. All right, Susan K. Hi, Abraham. Hello, Susan. Thanks for chiming in. Okay, do you know Lake Jackson? I'm not familiar with it. Lake Jackson. No, I'm not familiar with it. No, I can't say that I do. I called you earlier about it. Oh, you did? Okay, I've been in appointments all day. Sundays are usually a busy day for our buyer clients because they're making offers to meet their Monday deadlines. But I'll check my voicemail message if you left the voicemail message. All right. And Susan K also says, should I save up more cash and rent another year if I do not have enough to avoid PMI? No, I wouldn't suggest renting another year if your only concern is PMI, because prices are rapidly increasing right now, right? So let's say for instance that PMI is like an extra $400 per month, right? So if PMI is an extra $400 per month, that means that in the course of the time that Susan, you're renting, that you would have paid $4,800 for the year in PMI, right? And this is just an example, right? How much would you have saved up during that time period that you could reduce your PMI? Because if you do have the ability to save up enough money to increase your down payment, then it really just makes more sense for you to buy a house right now and then take whatever savings you have and then apply that to your mortgage, right? Apply it to your mortgage and then reduce your mortgage payment, reduce your total mortgage below that 80% threshold, and then you can get the PMI removed if you're using a conventional product. If you're using an FHA product, I don't believe FHA allow you to remove the PMI, so you would have to refinance out of it. But I really wouldn't suggest waiting in this market. And there's another reason why I wouldn't suggest waiting. So, and even in Manassas is the same way. Thanks for bringing this up. Okay, so oh yes, all right. So yeah, I'm very familiar with the Manassas area. So if prices have been increasing 10 to 12%, right, and if we're looking at a $500,000 home, that means that every year, right now we're going 50K up. I think it's like maybe like 59K, and then it's maybe like 67 or something like that, right? So every year, the properties are appreciating so quickly right now. Now, this isn't to say that properties will continue to appreciate like this. We're just going off of what's happened in the past, right? Your savings won't be able to catch up or make up for that deficit that you're receiving from a rapidly appreciating market right now, right? So Susan, I wouldn't. So Susan asked, should I save up more cash and rent another year if I do not have enough to avoid PMI? I wouldn't suggest that. Suggest doing that. I would say that you should watch the previous video that I put up and look into that 8-day strategy because Manassas is also a very competitive market right now because you can get more bang for your buck in the Manassas area. There's more single family houses in that $450,000 to $600,000 price range. So a lot of people are extending their commute to go out to that area. You may have to just keep on searching, right? Keep on searching for a property. Stay diligent. Don't get frustrated too. We have a lot of clients right now who are becoming just more and more frustrated with the process. This is just a market for individuals who have a lot of cash. If If you don't have a lot of cash, then you just have to put in more reps, right? You just have to put in more reps, more offers, right? All right. So Susan also says, how do you feel about buying land? The property I looked at was divided into 3 parcels. Land development, land buying land is fine. You just have to be honest with your ability to make the most out of that land purchase, right? So I'm a real estate agent. I have real estate friends who have purchased land, and they're purchasing land for development purposes. If you see yourself as a future developer, you're a budding developer in the making, then yeah, go for it. Like you only live once. Okay, and then Susan also says the new owner bought the property for $120,000. He rehabbed it and divided the land around it. He wants to sell it for $280,000. The old owner said it's a good deal. It's only 2-bedroom, 1 office, 2 bath. Okay, so a couple things there that I see. First off, don't get caught up in the idea that what the previous person paid for it has anything to do with what you are paying for it, right? That has nothing to do with it. That is they're an investor. You are the end user, right? So it's just like you buying some eggs at a grocery store. Sure, the grocery store may charge you $3 for the eggs, but the grocery store may have only purchased them for 50 cents. Why does it matter how much the grocery store paid for them? That's the same case in this scenario here. Now, you also said that it's only a 2-bedroom, 1 office, 2 bath. This is something that is this space enough space for you? And also, are other properties in the area similar? Are there any comparable sales in the area? If you aren't comfortable with this space, don't buy the home, right? Don't buy the home. You're not going to get more space in that property. So if the current layout doesn't suit your needs, don't buy the home. This is a big deal. $280,000 is $250,000. Don't do it. Don't do it. I mean, it sounds like you already are hesitant about the deal. I would just caution you against counting other individuals' profit, because they took the risk, right? They took the risk last year. What happened if the market crashed and this person put the $120,000 in and they rehabbed the property? Would you have given this person some additional funds to make up for their loss? No. So don't count their pockets. And if this space, it sounds like this space isn't going to work out for you the way you're talking about it. It's only 2-bedroom, 1 office, 2 bath. If that's not enough space for you, then I would hold off, right? Also, if you're in that 280,000, that below 300,000, below $400,000 price range, I'm just going to be honest with you. That's a tough market to be in. That's a tough price range to be in. So it may very well be that there's really not that many options for you. When you don't have that many options, you have to weigh your ability to find a competing product, or run the risk of renting for another year and no telling what will happen to the market. So Susan, I hope that answers your questions. I will be sure to check my voicemail message and see what you said. All right, 757 Trucker says, prices are already outrageous. I still think this is a great time to buy. I'm looking in the Clinton, Maryland area and the Sterling area. Yeah, buying a home isn't something that you should just do willy-nilly, right? It shouldn't be something that you do because you're pressured into it, or because you're following trends. No. This should be a 10-year purchase, right? 7 to 11 years. That's how long the average consumer homeowner stays in their property. So this is going to be the same thing for you. Look at it as the same way. Are people making money right now flipping properties? Yes, they are. But you have to also remember, those same individuals are the people who lose a lot of money when the market either stabilizes or shifts downward. Individuals who are holding on to properties for 7, 10, 15 years, they always right? They always come out on top. Either they come out on top, not necessarily from appreciation. They come out from on top because they've paid down on the mortgage, so they have equity in the property, right? And if you think about your property, your home as like a savings account, it's a forced savings account where you were going to pay to live in the area anyway. So rather than paying rent and then that rent not necessarily accumulating to anything in the future, you now have a home, right? So I think that, is it a great time to buy? It's up to you. It's a great time to buy if you know that you could be in this area for 7, 10, 15 years. Then everything will come out fine. Okay, Susan K says, how do you feel about septic grandfathered in under the house? I heard it could be bad. Yeah, I mean, septic tanks. You just have to make sure that you maintain them, right? So any one of these systems is a houses are like children. That's what I like to tell my clients. Houses are like children. Some children are amazing, right? And those parents that have those amazing children are always talking about them. And then some houses are terrible. And those parents don't really talk about them, right? Those parents of those terrible kids, they don't really talk about them. So I think that is a risk associated with purchasing the property with septic. Just make sure you get a septic inspection. Also, because of your price range, Susan, you're in that sub 300 price range. It sounds like you don't have that much cash to work with. Just make sure you're saving money for any future obligations. Okay, so I don't want you to put yourself in a position where you feel like, what, I have to buy a house right now. Buying a house can be expensive, right? Buying a house, there's all kind of things that could break on it. So if you have a low cash position right now, just remember that these houses are risky. There's some risk. Over time they work out though. All right. So Susan K says, is it a problem for FHA loans? I believe you have to talk to your lender about whether or not with an FHA loan. So Susan's talking about, let me see where her comment is. So Susan asked, should I save up more cash and rent another year if I don't have enough to avoid PMI? So with FHA loans, I'm not certain off the top of my head whether or not an FHA loan, you can just remove the PMI without refinancing out of the product, right? So with conventional loans, one of the things that's beautiful about the conventional loan product is that once your house hits a certain loan to value ratio, right? So it's not quite 80%, but it's around the 80% mark, right? So where you have 20% equity in your property, then you could just call your lender and your lender will drop the PMI. That's not the same case for FHA loans. So I do recommend that you talk to your loan officer, that since I know you're already pre-approved, talk to your loan officer about the criteria for FHA loans. You know what? This is nice. I like answering all these questions in real time. It's like rapid fire. I feel like I'm in a hot seat. Any other questions? Anybody else out there in the market right now, thinking about jumping into a market, afraid of the market? Maybe you're already in the market and you just don't know what to do. Let me know what your questions are. You know what? Since I have a couple of you here, I want to talk to you all about a concept that I've been talking to a couple of my clients about, and it's if you're renting right now, you're in a lease. If you're in a lease, you should know that right now it's taking. You should expect to move into a property 90 days from the time you place it on the contract, right? So you're looking at a 90-day move-in time, because right now what we're seeing is a 30-day closing, and then we're looking at a 60-day rent back, right? So time to close, and then this is a rent back. So a rent back is a scenario where the owner of the sorry about that. A rent back is a scenario where the owner of the property or the seller stays in the property for a certain period of time after the property closes, right? You're going to have to account for that. So we have a couple clients that have reached out to us just recently, and they have leases that end in the end of May, end of June, end of July. You want to make sure that if you are in one of these leases, that you give yourself enough time to actually complete your transaction. Because if a seller is going to ask for a rent back, it's not going to, it's going to be challenging for you to be competitive when other people in the market are probably going to give them what they want, right? So if you're in a lease right now, start the process. I would say start 6 months before you actually need to purchase a home. Start to looking at properties, looking at communities. Start to iron out like where you want to live, because this market is a little bit challenging right now, especially if you have a low cash position and you're not able to do some of the things that we talked about at the beginning of this live stream. Another thing too, if you're in a lease right now, another concept I've been talking to my clients about is don't with the lease, you in Northern Virginia at least, usually you have to give your landlord 60-day notice, right? I think that with the way this market is, and also the way that inventory is just getting tighter and tighter, right? And there's less homes coming on the market. Prices are increasing rapidly. I think that you all should rethink the way you look at your lease. As your lease is a contract between you and the landlord, and in your lease, now I'm not suggesting that you break your lease, but I am suggesting that you look at your lease and you see what the terms are for you to exit the lease early, right? Because in some instances you have to pay like a 2-month penalty for exiting a lease. Now, I'm not an attorney. I'm not your attorney, and I've never been an attorney, right? So just keep that in mind. But if the penalty to break a lease is 2 months, or maybe it's some leases state that you're on the hook for the lease payment until the landlord replaces the a tenant in your place, right? So we've assisted people with finding tenants so that they can exit their lease early, and also you could just pay the penalty if there is a penalty, right? And so in Northern Virginia, we're looking at like an average rental rate of like $2,700 for townhouses and like $3,600 for a single family home. So really, you're looking at a $5,000 rent release penalty on a townhouse, and possibly a $6,000, $7,000 rent release penalty on a single family home. Now, I want you to think about this. What if you are already going to pay some amount over asking price anyway? Like, what if you already have a budget to finding the property, and you should have a budget, and you already know that there's going to be a fee associated to purchase the property anyway? I would look at whatever the penalty is for exiting your lease early. If it's an option, check your lease, and then continue shopping. So we're telling our clients right now, don't break your lease, right? Don't tell your landlord you're leaving, because we don't have a sure way of saying that you're going to find a property right now, because in February, 900 less homes came on the market than last February. That's a lot. That's a lot of houses that didn't come on the market, right? And will you be able to compete with those people who are securing those new properties? You don't know. You don't know. Real estate agents, there's several threads in our real estate agent Facebook groups about this concept, but we already know that it usually takes a buyer 3 to 4 properties. They have to lose 3 to 4 properties before they become serious about what type of offer they need to make, right? It just takes some time. I don't know how to shorten that time period, but it just seems like that's just the process right now, right? That's just the process. So I'm rambling right now. I hope that this series or this video was a good session for you. So if you came late, you can watch the rebroadcast. Lorenzo asked a question: does that over asking amount, $36,000, $50,000, have to be in cash? What he was referring to was the appraisal gap. In Alexandria City, the average sales price over the appraised value. So these numbers are what people paid over the appraised value, or over the asking price, was $36,000 in Alexandria City, $50,000 in Arlington, $51,000 in Fairfax County, $29,000 in Prince William County, 71% of single family homes, 77% of townhouses, 48% of condos sold above the asking price in Northern Virginia. And 66% of homes are selling over the asking price. $715,000 over asking price was the highest over asking in the month of March. So all these figures are from the month of March. And so if you're watching this at the end, make sure you watch the broadcast so we can kind of go over the appraisal gap information for you, right? And if you're ready to start the home buying process, there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Click that link, fill out the survey, and then we'll schedule a Zoom session like this lovely couple here, and we'll kind of go over the entire home buying process with you, talk about your move to the area. And this is the best way to support the channel. I know there's a lot of people who watch my content, but then they use another agent. I just want to let you know that hurts. That hurts. I can't make money off of somebody else's commission. So we would love to work with you, love to have the opportunity to work with you. And as you can see, we're one of the most prolific content creators on Northern Virginia real estate topics in our area, right? So feel free to reach out to us. For the individuals who have reached out to us, who are working with us right now, thank you so much for the support. And I think that's it. Are there any other questions before I head out? I'll stay on for just like a few more seconds. A few more seconds. I don't see any other questions. You know, while I have you, one of the things about these live streams that's a bit challenging is that you're talking a lot, right? And so like you almost feel like you're about to lose your voice because you're talking too much. I hope you all like the audio quality. I hope the audio quality is okay for you. I hope this method of presentation is also okay for you. Oh, I do want to remind you, I think we only have like maybe 2 days left of cherry blossoms in the tidal basins. Make sure you go out there and check that out. In DC, the cherry blossoms are amazing. We have a video on our channel walking around the tidal basin. So if you're not able to make it out, do so. All right, Susan K has another question. May want to buy land, but must it be a personal loan? Yes, it's going to have to be a personal loan. A lot of lenders don't like to really make loans on land. It's a risky move. So you may be able to find a construction loan where you have a loan that will pay for the acquisition of the land, and also it will pay for the builder's build out. But yeah, it's risky, right? Because land has, if you never developed land before, then you are kind of boxing outside of your weight class because there's so much that goes into putting a house on a piece of property. It's not a simple process. So I would look for a construction loan more than I would look for a personal loan. But before you would even do that, I would really look for a builder. Start looking for builders and start learning the price per square foot that it takes to build a property. See what your budget is. see what the build times are. I mean, we have two clients right now under contract for new construction properties in Northern Virginia, and the builders didn't even give us a firm date on when they were going to deliver the properties because of the supply chain issues with the building and construction material. Builders on these new construction properties are, they're not telling us when they're going to deliver the property. So I'm pretty sure you'll have the same challenges working with a builder who's only doing one property at a time. So just keep that in mind. All right. Susan K also says, "Oh, I was going to try to see the cherry blossoms in a week." Yeah, I wouldn't go in a week. I mean, if it rains again, the cherry blossoms or the little leaves are probably going to be gone. So I would try to get out there at least in the next 2 days before it rains, or before we even have like a strong windstorm. Like today, it was pretty windy outside, so you saw a lot of those budding flowers all over the place. So yeah, Susan, I wouldn't wait to go see the cherry blossoms. Try to get out there early in the morning too. I don't know if you're a morning person, but 6:30, right when the sun rises, you can get out there. There's no traffic. It's super peaceful. There's not that many people around as well, so you can get yourself a parking spot right next to, I think it's the Martin Luther King Memorial. That's where I park at. There's a couple spots right there on that street. Get out, see the cherry blossoms, take yourself a couple pictures, and then go on about your merry way. All right, excellent. Well, I think that's it for me. It's time to go have some dinner. I hope you all are having a wonderful early spring season. Can't believe it snowed slightly yesterday further south of here. But yeah, thank you so much for watching the channel. And again, there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Also, if you have any other ideas for me as far as videos that you would like me to speak on, like Lorenzo, thank you so much, Lorenzo, for that question. That was a great question my clients are also asking as well. So it gave me an opportunity to kind of break that information down for you. As always, I'll see you on the next video. Peace.